So a lot of people wonder, what is the value of a Google My Business listing? It's actually very essential. It's becoming a really key element that you're really wanting to harness and take advantage of. So what a Google My Business listing does is that it allows the communication of some of the basic business information, like hours of operation, your address, what type of accessibility you have, different local events, a little bit more information about what you have available, also selling possible tickets. So it gives a really quick, easy snapshot to a lot of the key elements about your business that will be displayed right in Google search. So there's a lot of things that you want to be able to take advantage of so that people that are searching for either your business specifically or guests and visitors that are coming into your communities that are looking for things to do, you have the potential to show up in Google Maps and show up in Google My Business right on search, where they can get a lot of really key information as well. There's a little bit of a delay here as we go through slides, so I apologize for the delay with that. Vanessa, sorry, if I can just ask you to advance. Oh, there we go. Just a bit of a longer delay than expected. So in today's agenda, what are we going to cover? We're going to be covering, first off, what is a Google My Business listing? So what exactly does that look like? And what are some of the key things you want to learn about that? Then secondly, we're going to dive into how to optimize your account. So what are the key functionalities that you have in there that you want to make sure you're updating? One of the key things that Google My Business listing does is it can help with your local search results. So it's really important to make sure that that's optimized as best as possible. And then we'll do a Q&A session where if you have particular questions, I'll be able to answer those. And then what we'll be able to do is that for those of you that want to claim your listing or you want to get your listing verified, we'll be able to walk you through that. And those of you that are already verified or that don't need with that. And I do apologize with the delay that the screen has in moving forward with that. There we go, perfect. So you might be asking, what is a Google Business listing? So this is a quick screenshot of what your Google Business listing will look like. As you can see, if you type in your company name, you may get a screen that looks similar to this in Google. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see the organic search results, probably your website, maybe TripAdvisor, maybe social media, some other things on that side. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see this little profile that pops up that likely has a couple of images, maybe a little snippet of the map. It's going to have some key attributes, maybe like website, directions, review. That is your Google Business listing. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually own that listing and you can claim it and you can update it and maintain it. Google sometimes will create a listing for you for free automatically before you even go to register it if you've been a very popular business or can find a lot of information about you on the internet. But it's really critical that you actually take that listing and you verify it. The reason being, and if you think about the way that you navigate Google, if you're looking for a business online, like a coffee shop, a restaurant, or things to do, if you type that into Google and you get this Google Business listing that shows up, and it has information about directions and hours when they're open, you're going to think that that information is accurate and not think to go to the company's website to verify that. And so a lot of your guests are typically doing the same thing, that they're looking at the Google Business listing when they search for you and they think that that information is accurate and up to date, and they don't think about going to your website to verify that. And that can be really important, especially in cases where you might be closed on holidays, you might be closed seasonally, you may have moved to a different location. There's a lot of things that might not get updated on your listing if you don't claim it. So it's really important to make sure that you're doing that. And so we're going to walk through some of those key things that you want to be thinking about and how that works. The other part that's really great about this Google Business listing is that all this information feeds directly into Google Maps. So it makes it really simple and easy that when someone's Googling you, whether it's on the map platform or it's through organic search, you're going to show up. So that's really key. One of the questions that I do get asked a lot is, how can I show up higher on the search results? And so there's a lot of ins and outs, and I won't go too deep into it right now, but if you want to talk a bit more into it, I can answer those questions at the end. But essentially there's 3 components that Google looks for. So number 1 is distance. So if I happen to be in Kelowna and I'm doing a search there, if your business is in Kelowna, you're going to have a lot higher opportunity to show up in my map in Kelowna versus if you happen to live in Vernon, Penticton, Vancouver, Prince George. So the distance of where that person is and where they're searching will play a key portion in it. That's something that you have very limited control over, but it does play a big factor. The other 2 factors you have a lot more control over. Number 2 is relevancy. So when someone types something into Google, how relevant is your business in comparison to the search that someone has put in? So if I'm wanting to look for information about the museum or something that you happen to be operating, and I type in keywords around that, then that's going to be able to allow you to show up more in that search. So what we want to think about doing is when you're updating your profile is that you want to make sure that you're including some of those keywords that people might be searching for that pertain to your business so that you will show up a lot more in search. The third thing is prominence, and this refers to how prominent is your business on the internet. So this will look at things like, do you have a website? Do you have other social media channels? Do you have reviews about your business? And are they positive or are they negative? So that is looking at the overall availability of information about your business online. So those are the 3 key components that you want to think about when it comes to making sure that you are doing as much as you can to show up more in the Google Maps and Google searches. So the other thing that's really great about this platform too as well is that it works across all different devices. We live in an age now that more and more people are on their mobile devices, whether that's a cell phone or a tablet. So it's really critical to make sure that information that people are searching for is accessible on a mobile device. And Google My Business allows you to do that. So it really quickly and easily allows you to share key information about your location, about your business, regardless of the device that they are on. So across the board, it's a really great tool to be able to have. So now let's dive into some of the key elements about your Google business listing and what you want to be considering when it comes to updating it. So first off, the one thing that we want to look at is the anatomy of a Google business listing. So this is an example of a Google business listing, and as you can see here, there's a lot of key things to take note of. Number 1 is across the top, you're going to see photos and videos, and we'll talk about the types of photos you may want to include and how you can do that. Then underneath that, there's the opportunity for reviews. And this typically is the golden ticket, that it's great when you talk about how great your business is, but it means everything else when people talk about the experience that they had at your business. So it's really critical to talk about getting really strong reviews. Next, you've got your business overview, which looks at information about your business. So this is a really key thing that you want to include as well too. This is going to give you an opportunity where you've got about 750 characters to write a description about your business. So this talks about what it is that you offer. What information are you having at your facility? It talks a little bit about the history and maybe what it is that you do if you offer special events. So you really want to make sure that you're providing a really clear description about what your business is about. And then lastly, it's looking at the location information, which is for your maps. And then we get into some of the other information like your hours of operation. So this is a quick view of what the Google business profile looks like. And we're going to walk through some of these key elements a little bit deeper and talk about them. The first thing that we're going to start with is your hours of operation. This is probably one of the number 1 things that people tend to Google and look for when trying to go for a business. So aside from looking at directions and how to get to where you're located, probably the next most important thing is hours of operation. So take a moment and think about a time that you have Googled a business. Again, whether that is a restaurant, an activity, something to do, maybe a coffee shop, and you looked online and you've seen that it shows currently that the business is open, only to arrive at the front of that business and realize that they're closed. It's one of the biggest detriments to an organization when their hours are not properly up to date. So once you've claimed your business listing, in the overview section, you're able to access the information here where you can update your hours of operation. So you'll put your standard 9 to 5, 9 to 4, 8 to 6, whatever your hours are on a weekly basis. So you'll be able to add those details in here. The second thing that you'll then be able to do is there's another section called specialty hours. So these are hours outside of your regular operating hours. So as an example, we just experienced Family Day here in British Columbia. Some of you may have been open, some of you may have been closed for that day. What you'll want to make sure you do is that you go into that section for your hours and you go in there and you say either yes, I am open and here's my hours for that holiday, or no, I am closed, and confirm that you're not available for that holiday. When we have holidays that come up, like Family Day, Christmas, Easter, those types of things that take place, Google automatically will put a little note on your profile in Google that will say holiday hours may affect this business, and it'll show up in yellow. If you happen to go in and confirm your listing, then it'll update the hours to green and say confirmed holiday hours. So when you go in and you update those holiday hours, it helps to just reconfirm that for your visitor that you are open or you are closed, and that you're not going to run into a situation that people show up at your place of business only to find out that you're not open. So you can add these specialty hours in advance. One of the things I recommend for you to do as an action step is to sit down and go through the dates that you know you're going to be closed or dates that you know you're going to be open when it pertains to holidays, and do it for the next year. So in addition to holidays, it could also be if you've got staff events, if you've got special promotions, special exhibits that you're happening to have that will have different hours. Those types of things will just help make it a lot smoother of a process for your visitors when they're wanting to get directions to your business. So that's probably the most important thing that you want to focus on. Now, some of you may run into a situation where you are temporarily closed, that maybe you're only open in the winter or you're only open in the summer. And this, I know, has been a big frustrating thing for a lot of businesses, but we have a solution. So if you are a business that is temporarily closed throughout the year, there is a way that you can now get Google to update your listing to say that you are temporarily closed. What you will do, in my recommendation in this, is that on the mobile device that you want to download for the Google My Business, in the contact section in there, there's an opportunity for you to email them. You want to send them a quick email that says, my business is temporarily closed. Can you please update a temporary closed listing on my property? And you'll send that request, and they will do that within about 3 to 5 business days. What they will do is Google will go in, they will remove all of the hours of operation, and they'll behind the scenes put a temporarily closed sign on your listing in Google My Business. And then when you want to reopen it again, all you need to do is you need to go back in and put in your hours. You need to contact them in order to do this. It's not something that you can do by logging in. And if you happen to remove all of your hours on your own, Google will think that you are a completely closed business and that you're no longer in service. So you do have to send this request to them. So it's an extra step, but it's a way for you to make sure that you get that temporary closed listing and people become aware of it. So if you have any more questions about this, make a note and I can definitely talk a bit more about it in the Q&A section. But hopefully that makes clear to you. The next area that we want to be able to focus on is a new feature that Google has, which is called posts. So this is something new that Google's rolled out, very similar to how you would put a post on Facebook or a post on Instagram. Post gives you an opportunity for you to share little social media updates that give a bit of information about your business. So you're able to come in here and create posts about different types of topics, whether it's a new blog you've written, maybe a special event, maybe you're wanting to drive tickets, highlight an exhibition you're holding, different types of things like that. These posts will sit on your profile. On desktop, they'll sit there for 7 days, but on mobile, they'll actually sit there for a longer period of time. So there's a number of types of posts that you can have, and depending on the type of category that you've identified your listing for will depend on the types of posts you have available. The common ones that most people get will be announcements, offers, and products. You may also see business information as another option too as well, depending on your business. So very simple, just like you would update a post for any other social media platform, you can come in here and add a photo or a short video being 30 seconds in length, add a description, and then a key call to action, whether that's a button or a call now, or if you're gonna have a redemption code or an opportunity for book. All of those are key elements that you're able to have. Why is this helpful? Because in your Google business listing, you typically only have that one address that you're sending people to online, whether that's going to be your main website or it's going to be a booking. You only have a couple of URLs that you can add. By putting in these posts, it's a great way for you to drive traffic to other pages and to highlight a different information. Again, for those of you that have a temporarily closed business where you're not open during certain seasons, one of the things that I recommend that you do is that if you've got the event option, which is another option through your post, is to actually create an event that will say seasonally closed and post that with the date range of when you're closed and when you are prepared to open again in the new season. That's just another way to reiterate to people that you are open for business, just not currently at this time of year. If you happen to go into your Google business listing and you do not see a post functionality, please email Vanessa and I can share with her a URL where you can actually send a request to Google to get the post functionality on your listing, because not all listings have had it rolled out yet. Post is a really great opportunity for you to get that additional information out, so I really encourage you to be able to do that. The next one to talk about is business photos. So I want you to think about, as your guest, how they would navigate online. One of the biggest things you want to be able to do is make it simple for them when they're trying to get directions to your business. So photos is a really key way for you to do that. One of the key photos you want to think about uploading is a cover photo. This cover photo ideally should be the front of your business. Reason for that is that, again, when someone goes to Google and uses Google Maps as a way to get directions to your business, when they type in that information and Google then gives them directions and says you've now arrived, the photo that you've identified as your cover photo is what's going to be displayed. And when it's the front of your business, it helps to just build confidence for them to know, perfect, I'm in the right place. So adding a cover photo and identifying that as your cover photo being the front of your building will just help to build confidence with people to know that they've arrived at the right place. You can add additional photos to be able to help to further just highlight your business, talking about maybe some of the exhibits you have, talking about people that maybe work with you, talking about different events. There's a number of things that you can be able to add on here. 90% of customers that tend to visit a business will look at photos, because it's a way for them to get an idea of what experiences they might have when they go to visit your business. So taking really great professional photos is a great thing for you to be able to do. If you're looking to take it a step further, there's also certified Google photographers that you can connect with that can put together really professional photos and professional video tours that allow you to be able to do that. There is a cost associated with them, but it is a great opportunity for you to get a really professional look and feel of your business, and those photos are things that you can be able to use on your website as well. In addition to photos, Google also allows you to be able to now upload up to 30-second videos. So these are great ways for you to, again, just be able to provide a bit more information about what's going on. If you've got a new exhibit that's taking place, why not do a quick little 30-second video that talks about it and gets people excited about it, and posting that in your Google business listing, and people will be able to see that and search for that information and be able to find it. So there's a lot of little things that you can be doing with photos to help get additional exposure and to help people really get a sense of what they can expect to see when they come to visit you. So the next area that we're going to be focusing on is being able to book appointments. So what you may have available to you is that if you offer the ability for people to buy tickets online through a third-party platform, Google's partnered with a number of different platforms where you can actually connect your accounts directly to your listing, and you'll see a buy ticket option come up right on your listing where people can go in, connect to that third-party tool that you're using, and buy tickets directly off of your Google business listing. So as you can see, Google's really trying to make it so that when someone Googles something online, that you really do not have to leave that first page of Google, that you can do as much as possible on that page without going to the website. So if you happen to have a third party, if you go into your back end of your account and you go in there, it'll have a booking option. And in there is where it's going to ask you to add that third-party app that you want to connect. If you do not have a third-party app that you use, but you do offer the ability for people to message you or to book online through your website directly, then your listing may have an option that says add URL for ticket sales. And so that may be another option where they're going to go directly to your website that way. But if you have the ability to add a third-party app on here because you're already doing that, that's going to make it just that much easier and that much more seamless for people to book online that way too. The next area is really talking about the attributes. So what these are looking at is a way for people that if they're searching for certain types of information to understand what your business offers outside of the standard services. So what I mean by this are things like, is your facility wheelchair accessible? Is it dog friendly? Is it good for kids? Is there parking available? So these are types of attributes that show up that when people start to answer information about your listing, that you'll get the opportunity to say, yes, I offer these types of services. Where this can be very helpful is that if someone's doing a search to look for something that they want to do and they want to make sure that they can bring their dog with them, if your facility is dog friendly, that will show up. Or if someone needs the ability to have a wheelchair, having that show up there as well too. So these are different types of attributes that you will eventually be able to add to your business. How do you get accessibility to these? When guests use Google to get to your business through Maps or through Google Search, if they happen to use it and they get to your location, they may be prompted from Google to say, do you mind answering a few questions for us? And Google may prompt up to say, is there parking available at the structure? Are they dog friendly? Is there washrooms available? As people start to reply to these types of questions, you're going to see in that attributes area the opportunity where you can start to accept those ones that people have said yes to that you do have. So those attributes, unfortunately, are not something that you can just automatically add. You need your guests to be going in there to confirm that you have these available, and then Google will make them available for you to be able to add them to your listing. So there's a bit of a process in place, but if you're seeing these types of attributes show up, that's where they're coming from, is guests going to your business through Google and then answering questions and then you being able to accept them on the back end. So Google is doing as much as it possibly can to make it really simple and easy for guests to be able to communicate with businesses. So you're starting to see a lot of new communication functionality showing up with Google Business. One of the later ones that they've started to add is a messaging app. So in the back end of your listing, there's a little section there called messages. And this is a way that you can set up a messaging service where people can go to your account on Google My Business through the Google search, and they can message you directly. And you can receive these messages via text or through your mobile app and be able to communicate with them directly. So this is something that if you're wanting to really stay on top of a lot of those questions, a lot of that communication, this can be a really great tool. This is not something that you have to turn on. It's something that if you feel like you've got the resources to do, you can do it. But it can be helpful if you get a lot of questions or inquiries from people wanting to know things about your business. It can make it really simple and easy for them to communicate with you. But if you don't have the resources to be able to do it, I know some of you have small teams, or maybe it's just you happening to run the marketing. If it's too much, then you can turn the service off and then only turn it on when you feel like you've got the time and the ability to support you through this. But we are seeing more platforms having this set up where people are able to quickly and easily just text message a company and get those responses that they're wanting. One of the other areas that Google's, again, really trying to make it simple and easy to communicate back and forth is a new question and answer service that they have. So this one can be a little bit confusing, as this question and answer does not show up in the back end of your desktop version of Google My Business. It will show up on mobile, and it will show up on desktop if you do a Google search and you go to just the main first page of Google where you see your listing. So what this question and answer section allows people to do is that guests can ask your business any question directly on the platform. So they can ask anything that they want, and it's open to anybody to being able to reply. So anyone can go in and can reply back, and then you can also go in there and reply back from the business. So you may see certain questions that will pop up in here and seeing people to reply on there. If you want to reply back yourself, the only way for you to do that is to go to Google on your desktop, type in your company name, and then go to your Google business listing that shows up on that first page of Google, or to go into the mobile app and to reply. I wish that they had it in the back end for you to easily manage them, but unfortunately they don't. So if you have any more questions about this, again, feel free to ask that during the Q&A session of this webinar. One of the biggest things that people look for, in addition to directions and hours of operation, is reviews. Reviews is a really big attribute for you to really help people understand the experience that they're going to have, and for people to get an idea of what other people have found about your business. So it means one thing when you talk about how great you are, but it means everything else when other people talk about the great experience that they have had. So reviews are a really key thing that you want to be thinking about. As well, when we talk about having you show up more in Google search results for local inquiries, reviews are really going to help you to be able to do that. So a great thing for you to look at doing is being able to get people to leave you reviews. And the simplest and one of the best ways for you to do that is to simply just ask. That if you happen to be talking to someone and they've shared how they've had a really great experience, just say, you know what, we'd love for you to go into our Google business listing and leave a review and tell us about the experience you've had. That is sometimes the best thing that you can be doing. Google puts a lot of weight on reviews, and so the more reviews that you can get that are positive, the better. I know a lot of people will sometimes be deterred by maybe a bad review that they had a year or two ago. Google doesn't put as much weight on those older reviews. It looks at your most recent reviews and kind of takes into consideration what the current rankings are. So if you've had maybe not so glorifying reviews in the past, that's okay. Focus on what you can be doing today to really get great reviews. And then when you do hear that people have had a great experience, encourage them to go online and to leave you a review. One of the other questions that we always get with reviews is, what do you do if you get a negative review? And unfortunately, they sometimes happen. So the key thing that you want to be doing with your reviews is you want to respond. Whether it's positive or negative, you always want to respond. Google, again, puts a lot of weight on you responding to these reviews. If it's a negative review, you want to make sure that you're not trying to start a negative conversation going back and forth online. So the best thing that you can do is just reply back to the person and say, "Hi, Jesse. Thank you very much for your concerns. We're sorry to hear about your experience. We would like to be able to discuss this a little bit further. Please give me a call at," and then share your number, and then either put your name, or your initials, or ask or tell them to speak to your manager. But by you going online, replying to that, and inviting them to contact you to resolve this further, you're showing the online community that you really do want to make sure people have the best experience. And when they don't have that great experience, you do want to resurrect it and you do want to try and fix the problem. If that individual does not call you, that's okay. That you can't control whether or not they will contact you or not, but you're showing that you're putting out the effort to try and reply back and to try and make sure you're going to address the issues that they are having. So when it comes to reviews, a couple of things we want to think about. Number one is asking people to leave us reviews. Number two, anytime we get a review, whether it's just the star review or there's an actual comment, we want to reply to it. If it's a negative review, try not to go back and forth. Try the best to be able to take it offline and resolve it so that someone can talk to you over the phone or via email or some other point of contact versus it being directly onto the platform here as well. One of the great things that Google also has in the back end is the ability for you to actually get an understanding of what's taking place here. How are people finding you online? What are people doing when they find your profile? Are they visiting your website? Are they requesting directions? Are they calling you? Are they booking you? You can also get information as to the different postal codes that people are searching you from. So there's a lot of great insight that you can actually get from your Google business listing. So one thing that we recommend that you do is to go in there every couple of weeks or at least once a month and take a look and see what's happening. Look at how people are finding you online. It'll show you some of the key words or phrases that you're showing up for. It'll show some of the key actions that people are taking. And this will give you a really good understanding of maybe what you can be continuing to do or to improve, or what you're already doing that's working really well. So this will give you a good benchmark to understand how things are performing. Now, when you have a lot of different social media accounts, Google included, you want to really make sure you've got the right team helping you to support it. So just like you can add managers and other individuals to your Facebook account and other social media platforms, you can also add additional users to your Google business listing. Now, the biggest thing that we do want to recommend is number one is that you should always have ownership of your own accounts. So if you happen to have a marketing team that's helping you with your social media and your Google accounts, that's perfect. But you always want to make sure that you have full ownership over everything that you own as the business. The second thing is that you want to make sure people get the right type of user, the right type of role for the account. So as an example, in Google Business, you can be able to add people as an owner, a manager, or a site manager. An owner will give them full access to everything to be able to add and remove users and be able to reply to absolutely everything. This is not the recommended access you want to give people that are maybe just there helping you part-time, because they'll have full control over your account where they could potentially delete things or they could maybe remove things that you don't want them to be able to do. So sometimes manager is going to be the better option to ensure that they still have full control over replying to reviews and handling a lot of the key information, but they're not able to have control over adding and removing people from the account. So in your section in Google My Business, when it goes to owners, you can add additional people by adding them through their Gmail account. And it's just thinking about, do you want them to have ownership where they can do absolutely everything? Or do you want to give them that one step down, which is as a manager, where they can still reply and handle most of the actions needed in your Google business listing, but they're not going to be able to add and remove people. And then site manager is just, again, giving them that additional level of access where they can't reply to and can't handle a lot of the other criteria. Typically, manager is where you're probably going to want to add someone so that they can handle replying to reviews, adding posts, and updating some of your key information. So one of the other attributes that Google has available to you is the ability to add a free website. If you currently have a website, you do not want to add a Google business website because it's not going to be nearly as robust as what your current website is. But the Google business website is perfect for people that do not have a current website for their business. So what you may see is in the back end of your Google business, you may see on that left-hand side as you scroll down, a section called website. If you click on that, it'll allow you to create a website. And it's very basic and very simple, but it will give you a good starting point if you do not currently have a website created. But if you do have one, then you're not wanting to create this here. But again, it will give you a good starting point to be able to help you at least get started and have an online presence with your business. So I've mentioned a couple of different ways that you can access Google Business. You can access it on the desktop, or you can also access it through the free Google app. So if you haven't done so already, I really encourage you to go into your apps, whether it's on Android or iOS, and download the free Google Business Listing app to allow you to be able to manage it on the go. So you can do it on your phone, or you can be able to do it on your desktop as well. It makes it a lot easier for you to be able to handle things very quickly and easily. And it also is really the best way I find if you have a question, if you're wanting to reach out to Google, is emailing them through the mobile app. That's typically the best and fastest way I find to get responses from them. So before we open up questions, I just want to basically give an overview and highlight of everything that we've talked about to give you some ideas and some action steps. So if you do not currently have a Google business listing, whether you don't have access to it or you have not claimed your listing, if you want to stay on after this question and answer period, we'll be able to walk you through that to be able to help you to do that. If you already have your listing claimed, then after the Q&A session, then you're welcome to leave, go and enjoy the rest of your lunch and get back to your day. As a couple of the key things you want to be thinking about, number one is first verify your listing. Once you've done that, you want to ensure that you've got the proper images uploaded. So if you haven't added any new images in the last year or two, it might be a good idea just to make sure that they're most up to date. And you want to select a cover photo image that's going to be the front of your business, because that's going to make it really simple and easy for people to know that they've properly arrived at your business. The next thing you want to do is go through those key hours of operation, make sure that they are correct, and go through and add all of those specialty hours that you have so that Google knows if you're open or you're closed during holidays and other key dates throughout the year. If you happen to be seasonally closed and you are currently closed at this time right now, send Google an email through the mobile app so that you can be able to request a temporarily closed listing be put on your GMB listing so that everybody will know that you're temporarily closed and you won't run into a bit of confusion that way. And then the next most important thing is looking at those reviews. Going into your account and seeing, do you have any reviews that you have not replied to? If so, you definitely want to take a moment and reply to those reviews, and then keep on top of any reviews that you have as you get additional ones moving forward. So at this point in time, I'd like to open up to the Q&A session. And if you have any questions as they pertain to Google My Business, please feel free to either raise your hand and myself or Vanessa will unmute you, or you can also just type into the chat and I can read out the question and reply to you that way as well. So we'll give you a few moments to raise your hand or to type in any questions that you have. And Vanessa, if you do see anyone raising their hand, it doesn't look like I have the ability to unmute people, so I'll get you to help with that if that comes up.
I do see one raised hand, so let me just try to add that person. Perfect. So I see museum@shaw.ca. Feel free to speak. Maybe not.
If anybody else has any questions, you can just type it into the webinar chat and I can reply to it in there as well too. If you don't have any questions, then we'll just give you another minute or two. Looks like everybody's good.
You were just so good, Kat. You just answered all the questions up front.
Perfect. So what we'll do is I will hand it over to Vanessa to just close out this webinar. For those of you that do want to go through the steps of either setting up or verifying your Google business listing, you can stay online and we will walk through that. Depending on how and what this looks like, we may do this on a one-on-one basis too as well, just in case there's a lot of people, because sometimes it can be a little time consuming to set them up, but we'll walk through the basics with it. And if you have any questions afterwards that we weren't able to answer here, but you do come up with something in the next day or so, feel free to email Vanessa and she can always reach out to me as well. So I'll hand it over to you, Vanessa, to close it off.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kat. Thanks a lot for presenting a very, very helpful webinar today. I did learn a lot of things that I didn't know about Google My Business Profile, so that was definitely helpful. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will make the recording available to you in the near future, and you will also get a follow-up email from us that is sending you a survey, and we would love for you to fill out the survey and tell us what we did well and what we didn't, because we also want to improve, and we will make sure to respond to any inquiries that you send our way. As Kat said, get in touch with me if you would like to get in touch with her. If you think of any follow-up questions, don't hesitate. And otherwise, I hope to see you at our next webinar. The next one is coming up in mid-March, and we will have a very fun new format, an electronic roundtable that we will use to talk about maker spaces and how you can basically create your own makerspace, ideally.